Hey there, this is Ed Herzog, and today what I want to do is I want to take you through a tutorial of the free version of Elementor. Now there are other tutorials out there, but Elementor is continually evolving, and I took a look and it seems like a lot of the tutorials are 1 or 2 years old. So I thought this might be something that would have value for a lot of people. So particularly if you've never used Elementor before, you don't know where to start, how to use it, take a look at this tutorial and hopefully it will answer a lot of your questions. Now I do plan on doing another tutorial for the Pro version of Elementor, but you know, the Pro version is in many ways a completely different animal than the free version. And so I want to do that separate from this one, which is really focused on people who are using the free version of Elementor. So I'm going to switch to my desktop, and I will take you through a tutorial of how to use the free version of Elementor. Now here I am logged into my WordPress dashboard. Now I have a new domain here called edherzogbusiness.com that I bought just to do tutorials like this one. So I've installed Elementor already. I've also chosen a theme. I like to use, where is it at here? The Ocean WP theme, but there are other good ones that you can use, Generate Press, Astra, Hello Theme. A lot of it's going to depend, because in Elementor Free, you can't design your header or your footer or your blog posts. For me, a lot of it comes down to how do you want those to look, because those will be controlled by your theme. So you want to take a look at some of the recommended themes and see which ones have blog post designs and or header and footer designs that you like. So first of all, let's head over here to the sidebar. You can see you've got Elementor right here and you've got some options. So you can take a look at these. You've got settings right here, and you can see, you can play with these however you want. I don't tend to do a whole lot with these myself, but if there's anything you want to change, you're obviously welcome to. Role Manager is a pro function that lets you control who can edit what. This is not obviously with the free version. If you click on that, it will say Go Pro. So that's not an option. Tools, here you've got some options here. Sometimes you will need to do something like regenerate your CSS files, sync your library, the template library. Here you can put it in safe mode in case you're having any issues you need to troubleshoot. I've never used debug bar. It says it adds an admin bar menu that lists all the templates that are used on a page that is being displayed. That actually sounds interesting. Might need to start using that. Here you can replace URLs. Again, I've never actually used that. This here is important. You can roll back to a previous version of Elementor. If you update to a version and something breaks in your website, something doesn't work right, and you want to roll back, you can do that right here. You can also become a beta tester if you want to check out some of the upcoming versions that they have, some of the new features. And then here, this is actually really important here. When you need to put your website into maintenance mode, you can either put it into coming soon or maintenance mode. And I've got a whole other video on how to do this here, but you do it right over here, then who can access it, and then you choose a template that you create right here by clicking on that. Here, this just gives you system information. This is getting started. So they've got a little getting started video right here, but it's only 2 minutes long. It's not going to give you a whole lot of information. This will open up here on their website and give you information on tutorials, frequently asked questions, knowledge base, etc. Custom fonts and custom icons are both pro features, so again, we won't have access to that right here. So now what I want to do is I want to show you how to create a page in Elementor. So come over here to Pages and we'll click on Add New. And give our page a title. I'll just call it Elementor Trial. I generally like to save things as drafts since we're just starting to work on the page, and I'll click on Edit with Elementor. And we'll wait for Elementor to load up. Now the first thing I want you to see is most of what you're seeing here right now is being controlled by your theme. So because we don't have access to the Pro version of Elementor, your header is controlled by your theme. This here is being controlled by your theme, the sidebar, and this down here. So this can all be edited within your theme settings. It can't be edited directly with Elementor. So now let's look over here. So we've got a bunch of different widgets that we can use to create our pages. We've got roughly, I believe, 45. And we can scroll down. Sometimes this thing doesn't scroll properly. You've got to use the arrow keys and then that will appear. And you can scroll up and down here, find widgets that way. You can hide things. We've also got general WordPress widgets if you want to use those. You can also search for widgets. So let's say I know I want to put a video on my page, so I just type in video, and I've got the Elementor widget or the WordPress widget to put on my page. Here, this is global widgets, which is a pro feature, so that's not something we have access to. If we come over here, we can set default colors for our website. We can set default fonts for different headlines, body text, accent text. This is global settings, which you saw before on the settings for the over on the dashboard. That is another thing that is, it opens up over here. Again, some settings that we already saw. A little bit about Elementor. Here are some preferences. I've never used that. Actually, we should turn that on. Editing handles, that will become important later. What else? Here you've got Finder. So if for some reason you're working on your page and there's something else you want to take a look at, something else you've created, you can just type in, I don't know, type in whatever you want. I just typed in page. You can see here's a default page that came with WordPress, save templates, add new post, add new page, add new template, home page, and so you can, if you want to go for whatever reason, add a new page while you're working on this page, you can do that, or add a new post, whatever you want to do. Here, this will take you, this here will take you to viewing the page, so leave that, that's what it looks like. Come back here. Here you can exit back to your WordPress dashboard. Then down here we've got settings. So this is settings for the page. So you can change the title, you can change from draft to pending review to private to published. You can set a featured image, you can hide the title. You can also change the page layout. Now this is very important. So right now we've got the default layout from the theme. We can go with Elementor Canvas, which is just basically a blank canvas. So now we've lost everything. We've lost the header, we've lost the footer, and we've lost the sidebar. We can do full width. Now in this case we're going to get the header and the footer back, but not the sidebar, because we've got a full width content. Then finally we've got a landing page, which is going to be very similar to Canvas, because if we had Pro it would be different, but because we're using the free version, the landing page and the Canvas aren't very different from one another. Let's see, what else can we do here? We can set some background padding for the page, and this is for custom CSS, which is a pro feature. Here we've got Navigator. So once we've start putting content on our page, this will fill up, and then we can move our content around by moving things on this little navigator here, rather than moving them on the actual page. Here we've got a history. So if you want to go back to a previous version, if you made a mistake, you can click on one of these, go back. You've also sometimes have some save revisions depending on what you've been doing that you can roll back to. This here is very important. This is responsive mode. So you can take a look at how your pages look on the different options. And as I go through and show you how to actually put content in here, we'll take another look at this so I can show you how to create things for responsive design, which is obviously very, very important nowadays. And then here you can click on that and your page will open up. And oh yeah, sorry, right now it's a blank page, so that's why you're not seeing anything. Here you can publish the page, you can save it as a draft, or you can save the page as a template. You can also you can hide that panel. Again, if you want to take a look at what your page looks like, you can also change the size of that. So that's the basic overview of this I don't know, Elementor panel right there. So what I want to do now is I want to show you how to start adding content to your page and how to design your page. So I'm going to come back over here. I want to go to a Elementor full width page layout. Let that load up here. And what I'm going to show you, you've got several options for adding content to your page. So the first option is by simply dragging widgets over to this section right here, or this section of the page. So I could bring a heading over here and just drop that, and it adds a heading. Let's say I want to add some text, bring the text editor widget over. I can add it above it or below it. I could also add it down here, which puts it in a new section. If I bring it up here, it puts it in the same section as the header. So let's just drop that down there. Now you can see I've got a heading and text, and you can see it's all within the same section. So that is the first way to add content to your page. We delete that. Second way is by clicking on this. Now what you've got here, you start by selecting a structure. Now in some ways it doesn't really matter that much which structure you start off with, because you can always change this. You can always add columns, delete columns, change column widths, whatever. But you could start by selecting a structure. So let's just do a 2-column thing here. As you can see right here, you've got this little dividing line for your columns. And then again, you can just bring content over here, drag and drop it, like that. Maybe we want to put a button underneath that text, drag that there. So that's a second way to add content to your Elementor page. Let's delete that, and I will show you the third way. So the third way to add content to a page is via this gray button here. So if you click on that, it's going to pull this screen up. So you've got pages, you've got blocks, and you've got My Templates. So let's start here at blocks. So what blocks are they are kind of pieces of content that you would put on a page, blocks of a page. They're not a full page. And you can see here you've got various categories. You've got 404 page, about, archive, call to action, clients, contact, frequently asked questions, etc. You can scroll down and there's more. So let's just go to call to actions. And so you've got these various blocks here. Now some of these are Pro, so some of these we will not have access to because we're not using the Pro version. And then you can hover over this. You can click on the little, there's a magnifying glass if you want to get a preview of it. It's waiting, it's pulling it up. You can also click here if you want to go back, or when you're ready, if you found something you want to insert, you click it right there. For some reason this is not pulling up all the way, but you get the basic idea. So that is blocks, and you can get pages here. It's the same basic idea. You can hover over this, click on that to get a preview. You could just click there to insert it. You can also add things your favorite. There's a little heart there, same thing with the blocks. There's a little heart down here if you want to add things your favorites. We've also got My Templates. As you start building things out, you can save things to your templates, then they'll show up here, and then you can just directly add things that, things you may want to have on multiple pages from here onto, from one page onto another page. So let's come back here. We're going to insert this one. Now, right now, Elementor has a new feature in which you have to connect to their content library, which means you'll have to create an account, add your email and a password. I'm actually not sure what the purpose of that is. It seems to me an extra step that you didn't have to do before. I've already done that, so I'm just going to go ahead and insert that one right there. So now this page template is here on our page, and so I'm going to show you first of all the basic structure of an Elementor page. You've got three things. You've got sections, columns, and then the individual widgets. So as I hover over here, I don't know how well you can see this, but there are blue lines going all around this. That means that is a section, and everything that is above that or below that is in a different section. So if I scroll down here, again, you're seeing this thing up at the top, and that's telling you that it's a new section. Same thing as I come down here. Again, you can see that the blue goes around where that section starts and ends. It's here. So as you scroll down, you can see, again, where these sections are, where they start, where they stop. The second element are the columns. So as I come over here and hover over this part over here, you can see this little gray box here. That shows you it's a column. Here's another column here. Now this here down here is interesting. There's no column because it's all one column. So there's nothing over here in terms of gray box over there. But here we do have two columns. So again, it will show the different columns. This again, two columns. You can see, this is all one column. This button is part of this column. It's also part of this section. This here is its own column, nothing else in it, but it's part of the same section as the rest of it over there. And so that's columns. And then, as I said, you've got obviously the individual widgets. As you come over here and hover, it'll say edit heading, edit social icons, edit button, edit heading, edit image, etc. So you've got the three things there. You've got, again, the section is the main thing. Then within the section, you've got columns. Then within the columns, you've got the individual widgets. So let's start by taking a look at the section and seeing what options we have for editing the sections. So as I hover over this, I see three options. The first one is to add a section. So if, for example, I wanted to add a section above this section here, I just click on that and then I could add a section. Same thing here. I could click on that and add a section that would go in between those two. This here lets me edit the section. So click on that and we get all these options here, which I'll show you in a second. And then we can also delete the section, which I obviously don't want to do. We also, if you hit right click on your mouse, you'll see a bunch of options here. Take a look at those in a second, but first I want to show you what you can do over here. So we've got three options: layout, style, and advanced. So let's start with the layout. You can stretch a section in case there's an issue with the full width on the page. That allows JavaScript to stretch a section. You can make it boxed or full width, however you want, and you can change the size of the box. This is set at 980. We could make it bigger, we can make it smaller, bringing the columns closer together, however you want to do it. You can set a column gap, no gap, narrow, extended, wide, wider, etc. Again, depending on how you want to do it. You can set a minimum height, do it default, fit to screen, or a minimum height. Then you can set the minimum, if you choose minimum height, you can set it right here. You can make it different sizes. Here we can put the column position. We can make it top, middle, or bottom, or there's also a stretch option. So you can put it at the top, the bottom, however you want to do it. Normally it looks best in the middle, but you might have other ideas, other things you want to do. Here you can do a vertical line. So you can do top, middle, bottom, space between, space around, and space evenly. I haven't played a whole lot with those, but there are some options for doing that that will align your content the way you want to. Let's go back to default. There's something here for overflow. Again, I haven't used all of these. I mean, some of these, there's so many options in Elementor. That's one of the things is sometimes it can be overwhelming. I will admit that. You're best off, I think, using some of the more basic options, particularly as you're getting started. Again, some of these options I've never used. I've never found them particularly useful in my case. Now, one of the things I want to show you right here is you see this little thing here. You hover over it and it says desktop. When you see this icon, this is an element that you can edit to change it to make it look different depending on whether it's a desktop, a tablet, or a mobile phone. So you click on that and then you can go tablet or mobile phone and change the settings for that. So we click on that and then we can set something for a minimum height that is specific for a tablet. Or you click on this and you can do it from mobile. Okay, so that's an option for creating responsive design layout. Then you've got here structure. You can change the structure here. I don't find this the best way to do it. I find it better, an easier way to work with the columns and to work here. So I wouldn't particularly recommend that. But those are the options you have for layout. Then here for style, you can create backgrounds. You can have the normal background as well as a background when somebody hovers over with their mouse. So you've got color, gradient, video, and a slideshow. And for the color, you could also put an image in there. So we could just go, let's just say we want to do a green color. It looks horrible, I know, but you could do that if you want. Let's get rid of that. Oops, did not get rid of it. There we go. Here, again, you could put an image background. You could put a background overlay. You can put a border. You could put a shape divider. So a shape divider would be, you could put it either at the top or the bottom. So you've got all these different shape dividers. And let's see, you'll need a color here. And so you can get a divider like that divides your sections between each other. Get rid of that. Again, I'm not going to show you every single option because there's so many options, but just getting an idea here. You can also set typography that would apply to the whole section. I don't tend to use that. I tend to do the typography within the individual widget itself. Then we come over here to advanced. You can set margins and padding. And again, these can be changed based on different displays. You can use a z-index to kind of make things overlap. Again, not something I really use a lot. Here you've got CSS ID and CSS classes. if you need that for any reason. You can have motion effects. Again, you can have things come into the screen as somebody scrolls this particular section. You got different motion effects if that's something you want. Again, here's for responsive. Got some options here for reversing columns for tablet or mobile. You can hide things on desktop, tablet, or mobile. This I actually use from time to time because some things, you can't get them to look the way you want, or maybe you just don't want it on one particular display, and so you just want to hide it. You may have an image that looks great on desktop, but doesn't look so great on tablet or mobile, so you can hide it there. And then custom CSS we don't have access to because we don't have the Pro version. So those are the options for editing the section. As I said, then you can also come over here and you've got, again, you can go to edit section there. You can duplicate it. So you can click on that and duplicate the section. You can copy it and then paste it somewhere else. So you come down here and paste and boom. So now we've got that in two places on the same page. So if you want to easily, if there are elements that you want to have on two different places within your page, you can do it that way. It's a very easy way to do it. You could also, it's a little harder, but you could duplicate it and then drag it down to wherever else you want it. Here you can copy. You can also copy and paste styles. Probably not something you'll use a lot for sections, but you'll probably use it more for individual items, individual widgets. So I'll show you that when we get to the individual widgets, but you can do that. You can save this as a template. Remember, I showed you in the template library when you go here, you had three options. You had blocks, pages, and then template library. So again, you can save this as a template library, and then it'll show up there. You could delete it here. You can also go to the navigator. Now, if you want to move sections around the page, you basically have two options. One is using the navigator. It's generally the easiest way. The one challenge is that the sections don't have names to them. So, sometimes you have to, it's hard to know which section you're moving to where, but, if I wanted to move this down for some reason, say I want to move it down there, and now it should be, now it's down here. Let's move that back up to the top where it belongs. You can also, let's close this, move these by dragging them. So you pull this and then drag it down to where you want it. So I can drag it down to there, for example. So either way works. Whatever works best for you, whichever way you want to do it. In terms of, if you decide, I put the section up at the top, but I actually want it here in the middle, you can drag and drop it wherever you want it to go. Let's move that back up here. So those are sections. That's what you can do with a section in terms of editing it. So now let's take a look and see what we can do with columns. So if I come over here, I've got these two columns right here. And when I hover over it, I don't see anything like I do when I hover over the section. But I can right click, and again, I get edit column, duplicate, add new column, copy, paste style, reset style, navigator, and delete. So let's first look at edit column. So again, that will pull up this over here. I can change the column width. So right now I've got a 50% here and a 50% there. I can change the size there, put a 30 there. That makes this now 30, and then this will become 70, obviously, because I have to add up to 100%. You've got options, again, for vertical line, horizontal line, widget space in terms of pixels I've never used before, so I can't really speak about that one, but it is an option. Then again, you've got styling here. Again, you can set a normal background as well as a hover background. You've got classic, gradient, and a slideshow. Again, you could put a color. And again, this color, because we're working only in this column, it's only going to affect this. If you want to affect the whole section, you've got to work up here. So we're working right here with this particular column. So, if I want to put a background, look, it just goes there. It's not going to touch anything there. Again, if I put a background here, it would affect the whole thing. So, sometimes when it comes to design, you have to decide what do you want to affect. Do you want to affect the individual item, the individual widget, the column, or the section? Let's reset that back to that. Again, you can do a background overlay, border, typography. So you've got those options there. And then here on advanced, again, you can set margins, padding. You know, again, if you want to set a padding there, you can do that. And you can actually, on this here, if you, once you put in 30, it's going to, in one of them, it puts it on all of them, but if you want them to be different, you click on that and it unlinks the values, and then you can set different ones for different things, you know, whether you want them all to be the same or to be different. Let's get rid of that. Again, you've got C-index, CSS ID, CSS classes, motion effects. Again, if you do a motion effect here, it's only going to be this column. It's not going to be both columns. Then you can do responsive. So again, you might want to hide this column, but not this one on desktop, tablet, or mobile. So you've got those options. Now I showed you here that you can change this, say put that at 30%, and it'll make that one 70%. You can also just drag these. You can do it that way as well. Both work. It's hard to get exactly specific though when you're dragging, so it's often best to put a number in here. At least that's what I found in my experience. You can also, let's say you want to flip this. Let's say you decide you want these social widgets over here and the logo over there. You can just drag this. Oops, sorry, drag the wrong thing. I dragged the actual widgets. I need to drag the column. Drag the column, and they reverse. Let's put that back over there. And again, if I want to change the structure of this, I can add, for example, I can add a new column, and I can add some content there. I could, or I could duplicate this column, and again, it gets me another column there. So again, I can, you know, even though I started off with these two columns, both at 50%, I can add more columns, I can delete columns, I can change how much space each of them has, depending on how I want my columns to look across here. And of course, I can even add, you know, I could add more items here. I can have more than one item in a column. I'm not limited to one item within a column. I can add items there, add a button here, add, let's see, add a divider there. You know, again, however you want to do it. You can drop things above, below. It's very easy. So again, you can design this, you know, the columns, even if you start with a 2x2, you can change it to look however you want. And again, you can also do these things that I showed you with the sections with copying and pasting. Now let's take a look at individual widgets and what we can do with those. So if I hover over here and then click on that, again, I can do edit heading, duplicate, copy, paste, paste style, reset style, navigator, and delete. So again, if I just wanted, if I want another heading just like that, I could do that. Again, I could copy, paste, all that sort of stuff. Let's go for now to edit heading. Now, obviously, this section here is going to differ a lot depending on the particular type of widget. So here I can edit the text. I can put a link in. So if I want this to have a link to it, you know, open a different page either on my website or somewhere else, I can do that. I can change the size here, although again, I prefer to use the typography, which is under style. I can change the alignment within the column. It's the alignment within the column that I'm changing there. Here again, I can change it color if I want to do that. I can change the typography. So I've got all these different types of fonts, sizes, weight, transform, style, decoration, line height, etc. I can put a text shadow. There are different blend modes. So you've got all that. Then you can do advanced over here. Margins, padding. Again, a lot of things that I've already showed you. Motion effects, background, border positioning, responsive. So you've got all those options right there. But again, it's going to be differ depending on the widget. Here, obviously, you're going to put in your different social icons. You can delete, add, etc. You know, change the shape, however you want to do it. Now, the one thing I want to show you here was with the copy and paste styles. So let's say, you know, I've got this logo or this heading here, and I add another heading right underneath it. But I want it to have this same typography. So rather than going through the typography and selecting it, I can just do this. I can go copy and then come down here and paste style, and boom. And that does work. Let's delete that. That does work across widgets too. So that's a heading here. I've added a text, so I can copy and paste style, and boom. It's not picking up the color, but it did pick up the font. Try that with a button. Come over here, copy, and paste style, and boom, it picked up the font. We can reset it too. If we decide we don't want that, we can just click on the reset and it'll go back to the way it was. So that is pretty much what you can do with widgets. Again, you'll need to look through each widget, obviously going to have its own options, but there are often some commonalities in terms of styling, particularly, and the advanced options. The content tends to vary depending on the type of widget that you're looking at. So as you can see, there's a lot that you can do with Elementor, and often what I'll do is I will import one of these templates here, and then I will just rip it apart. It's nice to have kind of a basic structure on a page to begin with, and then again, you can do whatever you want. You can change everything on here and design things to look the way you want them to. That's the power of Elementor. Even with a free version, there's just so much you can do. You're not limited in what you can design. There's, however you want your page to look, you can pretty much do it in Elementor. Let me just go back here because I do want to show you again. I talked about these earlier. Again, since I've been making changes, you see now this history is populated. And so, I can go, it tells you the different changes you've made, and then you can go back and say, oh, these 5 things here were all mistakes, and I want to go back to there. And so you click on that, and it's going to basically take you back to this version here and get rid of these changes there that you've made. So, that's a very useful function, particularly if you do something that you decided, oops, I didn't want to do that after all. And then the other thing again is with the responsive mode. I showed you some of that already, but you can come down here and look at how your page looks on the different sizes, and then change things based on your, based on tablet and mobile. Tablet I found generally looks pretty nice relative, looks pretty well, but mobile is a bit more of a challenge. It doesn't always translate the best, and so you might have to come in here and change some things. You might want to say, oh, well, here I want this to be a different font size, and so we'll make this, actually it doesn't show the sizes being picked up from the desktop version. Let's just say we want to make that 16. That's actually probably too small, but if you go back up here to the desktop version, you see it's still the normal size. It only gets changed in the mobile version. The tablet version also stays the way it was. So, do make sure that whenever you design a page, you go through and see how things look in tablet and mobile, and then make sure that you, fix things to look nice on those as well, not just on the desktop. So that is my, what is admittedly a very brief overview, a brief tutorial of how to use Elementor, how to use the free version of Elementor. It's a very powerful tool. I've been using it for years, and I still discover new things. I discover new things while doing this tutorial, while putting this together. So if you have any questions about how to use Elementor, please let me know. I'm always happy to help you out. I'm always happy to do my best to answer your questions. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I've got a lot more videos on Elementor coming out, as well as other tools that can help you build and grow your online business. So that is it. I hope that this video was of value to you, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.